Good afternoon and welcome to Spartan Sports Network's presentation of boys varsity lacrosse here on SSN as the ESM Spartans welcome the Auburn Maroons. It's currently 54 and cloudy out here at Spartan Stadium as we're in for a good one today as we bring you down to the face-off to open up today's action. As we've got a toss-up for the ball off the opening face-off. That one's going to be recovered by the Maroons, and that's Jack Hill with it momentarily as he falls to the deck. As that ball is still being thrown around as Tedesco finally, and now Godleski tips it into Spartan territory, but it's going to be out of bounds, and it's going to go the other way. That's Hill with it currently, as he gets by the ESM pressure pretty evenly, as Santillo knocks that one out momentarily as Hill falls to the deck, and we're going to get a whistle as that one will stay with the Maroons. Well, the Maroons come into today's action 3-3 on the year. Spartans 1-4. The Spartans coming off a loss to CNS on Thursday, as the Maroons are coming off a 17-3 loss against JD as well. As that one's going to find the ball's going to find itself behind GLE and Cage with a momentary. It was Coleman. As there is the Maroons will play around the world. That's Coleman with it, driving on it, actually dodging, as that one's going to be tipped up. Apologies, that was not Coleman. That would be Crosby with it. And nope, sorry, Crosby has it now. Is that Smith? Smith being defended by the short pole. He gets around his shot, saved by James, and James gets an opening save early on, and Godleski will start the clear for the Spartans. Welch has it at the 35 in between the middle of the hashes over to Taylor, as Taylor finds its way to Caden Claflin. Santillo will dump it off to Welch on the near side of the field, as Welch will put that one back into play to Claflin in the middle of the field. Over to Rinaldi. Rinaldi. That pass is off the stick of Claflin. Welch recovers to Santillo. Back to Claflin. Back to Santillo. Santillo back to Claflin. Claflin's shot stopped and saved by Driscoll. And Driscoll will get that up to Crosby. And Crosby will start the clear for the Maroons. That's Musso with it behind near X, dumping it off to the far side. As Crosby has it in between the middle of the hashes, being defended by the short pole Santillo. As we get a switch there, as Smith trying to get around Corsi and will not. Crosby gets it again. Back to Coleman. And the ball finds its way behind GLE once again. This is Musso. That was Doan. That shot's going to be high, but Russo is back there for the Maroons. And the Maroons will keep possession at the 8:39 mark here in the first quarter of action. Musso trying to get around Godleski. Finds his way near the crease. His shot's going to be left, actually right of James. And Coleman's back there to keep possession. Musso at X, being defended by Godleski. Musso over to Smith. Smith on the near side puts it back in between the hashes to Crosby. As Crosby sets a pick, that is Pinu. Back to Crosby. Dumps off behind the cage to Russo. Russo gets by his defender. His shot's going to be Off once again. Coleman tries to go from deep and cannot, but that's going to be deflected off a stick. And Corsi trying to get the ground ball recovery. Tosses that one into Maroons, as that one's going to be put back into Spartan defense. And Tedesco's pass is picked off by Smith. Spartan's a little shaky offensively to start up this game. That's Crosby in between the hashes at around the 40-yard line, dumping that one off to Pinu on the far side. That one over to Doan. Doan trying to get around his man. He can't. That's Galway in defense for the Spartans right there, and that one's going to go behind the end line. And that one's going to stay. So Doan will take this one up behind Cage. Over to Musso. Musso being defended by Godleski once again. Musso gets around. Inside feed. That was intended for Campbell. And that one's actually, Coleman. And that one's going to go out of bounds. And it's going to be a Maroons turnover. So the Spartans, once again, will look to clear. Tedesco trying to find Galway. That one's off the back of the stick. 3-on-2 momentarily. Coleman's tries to go low and can't. James will save that one at the doorstep. And Santillo pushes and clears for the Spartans. He's in between the hashes. Over to Welch on the near side. Welch will settle down the offense for the Spartans. And the Spartans will look to get their first goal of today's action. Taylor's got it. Over to Claflin on the far side of the field. Rinaldi. Back to Claflin. Over to Taylor. Taylor over to Santillo. Finding Claflin on the skip pass. Finding Corsi at around the 15. And Corsi will ultimately dump that one back off. Santillo with the short stick. Claflin with the long pole. Santillo will try to dodge. He'll dump that one back off to Claflin. Claflin fakes. Claflin's got some space, and he finds the left corner as Caden Claflin open up the scoring for today's action, and it's 1-0 Spartans. Back at the face-off for the Spartans. That'd be Gallery. As we're going to get a whistle. And it's going to go to the way of the Spartans. So it's a face-off violation against the Maroons.
ESM goal by number 22, Caden Claflin.
As Rinaldi's got it behind Cage and GLE. Over to Welch. On the far side, 10. Back to Taylor, Santillo, Claflin, Rinaldi. Rinaldi finding Corsi. Welch being defended by the long pole, dumps it back off to Claflin. Over back to Welch. He's got a short stick on him momentarily. Double teamed. Welch back to Claflin. Claflin with a dodge inside. That move inside. As we got a loose ground ball, and we're going to get whistles blown. And it's going to go away to the Maroons. So it's an ESM turnover. As that ball is cleared by Eddie. Eddie over to Musso. Musso will take this one behind GLE. Finding Doan. Being defended by Galloway, the long pole. Trying to find that one for Coleman. Cannot. That ground ball is going to be recovered by the Spartans. That's Santillo. Finding Claflin. Claflin's shot. The high one's good this time. And Caden Claflin's got a first quick 2 to open up today's action. 2-0 Spartans at the 4:23 mark here in the first quarter. And this is going to be a face-off win for the Maroons. That's Hill
With the assist to number 3, Michael Santillo.
finding Musso. As the Maroons will take this one behind GLE once again. That's over to Coleman. Coleman being defended by the long pole. That's Carr. Dumps that one over to P now. Back over to Crosby. Crosby over to Smith. As Musso gets this one at X, being defended by Godleski this time. Smith over to Pinu. Pinu over to Crosby. Crosby trying to dodge inside. Bounces off. He was being defended by the short pole, Caden Scott. Doan trying to get around the crease. Can't. Finds Crosby once again. Crosby puts that one in the middle of the hashes to Pinau. Pinu over to Smith. Smith shots off the stick of James, and that one's going to go behind the end line. Doan. He'll be defended by the long pole, Galway. Passes X inside feed. Musso's bouncers off. And James will be back there to take possession away for the Spartans. And it was a great defensive possession right there. As Godleski will start the clear at the 2:58 mark here in the first quarter. Spartans lead by 2. Both goals by Caden Clapp. James gets this one. Godleski's going to be defended by Coleman. Actually, is in the area of Coleman momentarily. Spartans do have to get this one over. They find the pass as James gets that one to the far side of the field. Over to Claflin. Claflin trying to find Welch. And Driscoll just tips that one up in the air. His pass intended for Crosby is going to roll. And that one's actually going to go by midfield. So Coleman dishes it over. The inside feed. That's good. Actually, no, it's not. It's on the other side of the net. So Coleman's attempt, after having a 3-on-1 advantage, does not go, as that pass is going to be errant for the Spartans. But Welch is going to keep that one in bounds, and it's going to be an ESM turnover as BR gets that one, but Santillo picks this one off. Actually, sorry, Rinaldi does. Dumps that one off to Corsi, and Santillo will lose that one momentarily. Santillo over to Welch. Welch's shots wide left. And this possession will stay with the Spartans. Rinaldi behind GLE. As Santillo gets this one on the near side, 30. Over to Welch. Trying to get that one to Santillo, and that one's off the stick of Santillo, as that would have been a good look right there for Michael Santillo to put the Spartans up 3-0. But off the turnover, Crosby gets it at the 30. Inside to the hashes. Down with it currently. Doan being defended by Galway. Ball gets pushed into the middle of the field. That's Smith. Over to Crosby. Back to, actually to Musso this time behind GLE. Over to Doan. Doan find Pinot. And Smith being defended by the short pole, Bird. Smith gets around Bird. His shot's going to be high and wide, but Musso back there to retain possession for the Maroons. We got 32-2 here in the first quarter of action. Spartans currently lead by 2. Coleman's got it behind GLE, being defended by the long pole. That's Carr. Coleman is actually Smith gets this one in the middle of the Hashins. Over to Crosby. Crosby on his dodge. Finding Smith. Smith finding Coleman. Actually, sorry, Musso momentarily. Musso dodging inside. Coleman's going to get the inside feed. And he, with the low shot, goes through the legs of Luke James and gets the Maroons on the board for the first time today. So with 4.5 seconds, we head back to the face-off X. Gallery and Hill.
By number 22, Sam Coleman, with the assist to number 10, Aiden Musso.
Is that face-off? As we're going to get a push on Gallery. As that's going to do it. So after 1 quarter of play, the Spartans lead the Maroons 2-1. We'll be back with you with second quarter action here on SSN.
This high school gym used to be packed most nights. Not anymore. Do you know why? Because bad behavior by fans, especially adults, has caused a shortage of game officials across the country. You see, without officials, we can't have sports. Don't let this become reality. It's time for a change. Let's bench bad behavior for good.
Back to Spartan Sports Network for second quarter action here, as the Spartans currently lead the Maroons 2-1. But we'd like to give a huge thanks to our partners, NFHS, and our very own Trappers 2 here in Minoa, New York. Goals scored by the Spartans, Caden Claflin with 2, as he opened up the scoring. And then at the end of the first quarter, it was Samuel Coleman for the Maroons, getting the Maroons on the board for the first time today. So Hill Gallery, they'll head back to the face-off X. As we put a fresh 12 on the clock. As that ground ball will be won by the Maroons. And they'll start off their first possession of the second quarter. Hill trying to get that feed inside. Coleman's going to get stopped at the doorway by James. Luke James with one of many saves in this first half to keep the Maroons at bay. Godleski will dump that one back off to James near the crease. James trying to find Scott. He won't, and that's going to be an ESM turnover, but we're going to get a flag. So the Spartans will head to the man-up op. That was Griffin Doan will get sent to the penalty box for this one. So Claflin will start this one at the 45-yard line. Spartan's first man-up opportunity of the day and the first man-up opportunity of the game for both teams. As Santillo finds Welch. Welch finds Taylor. Claflin to Rinaldi. Rinaldi back to Santillo. Actually, Rinaldi to behind X. Taylor inside feed for Welch. Rinaldi's going to try to get this one. And that one's not going to go as he tries to get that one through the line. Taylor over to Claflin. Claflin over to Santillo. Santillo's going to shoot up. That one's off the pipe. Once again, inside. Welch! He gets it to go. Logan Welch with his first goal of the day puts the Spartans back up by 2. And it's 3-1 ESM. And we'll be out. And after this injury timeout, we'll be back with you here on Spartan Sports Network. And we're back out. We're back after the injury timeout. Spartans head back to the face-off. It's gonna be Hill. It's gonna be Hill and Gallery once again. Actually, no, that's Joey Leveroni to the face-off X for the first time today, and Tedesco picks up that ground ball, and the Spartans will head in transition as they get it past Maroon territory. Tedesco with it momentarily. Finds Santillo. Santillo will find Welch on the far side of the field at the 15. Back to Santillo as Taylor comes on for the midfield line. Claflin's got it in between the hashes. Back to Santillo. Santillo finding Welch behind GLE on the far side of the field as the Spartans will play around the world with it currently. Taylor's got it over to Rinaldi. Rinaldi back to Welch behind GLE. Santillo, Claflin. Claflin over to Taylor. Taylor will dodge out over to Claflin. Claflin dodging inside. His shot's wide, but will stay with the Spartans. Rinaldi back there to keep possession. Rinaldi, his feed, skip past Santillo's shot is off the mark. And Rinaldi will keep that one, keep possession with that one to the Spartans. 9:38 remaining here in the second quarter. Spartans lead 3-1. That was O'Reilly with it partially on the near side of the field. Taylor, Santillo, back to Taylor. Taylor to O'Reilly. O'Reilly to Rinaldi. Rinaldi to Welch. Santillo dumps it off to Taylor. Taylor trying to dodge inside, being defended by the long pole. Taylor actually gets inside finally and loses possession as it's an ESM turnover. That ground ball recovered by Scott Balcom. And Balcom clears the inside feed. That one's picked off by James. So Luke James once again keeping the Maroons at bay on the scoring end as Santillo moves. Santillo moving inside. He goes top shelf. And Michael Santillo with his first goal of the action puts the Spartans up 4-1.
ESM goal by number 3, Michael Santillo.
Gallery Hill back to the face-off X. It's been pretty even today so far. That's Joey Leveroni back to the face-off X as he'll try to get that one to Claflin off the face-off win. Rinaldi with it at the near side 20. Gives it back to Claflin. That's Corsi with it in the middle of the hashes. Over to Claflin. Claflin over to Rinaldi. Back to Claflin. Welch has it on the far side. Dumps it back off into the middle of the hashes. Welch. He's going to try to shoot. Actually tries to feed it inside to Rinaldi. And that one's going to find its way in the crease. So Priskel will start the clear for the Maroons. That shot barely hit the line. But Hill will keep possession. Actually, it's going to be timeout on the field. We'll be back with you after this timeout at the 7:35 mark here in the second quarter here on SSN. Welcome back to SSN. Out of the timeout, Maroons keep possession as the Spartans currently lead 4-1. We're down to the last 8 minutes and change here in the first half as Crosby will dump that one off to the far side to Smith. Smith gets it. That one's going to find its way behind GLE to Doan. Pinot, Crosby, Smith. Smith back to Crosby in the middle of the hashes as he will start going downhill. Crosby dumps off behind GLE to Doan. Momentarily, and it's over. On the we'll head the other way. Esco's got this one. He will start the clear for the Spartans. He'll skip that one over to Godleski. Godleski finds a man in transition. That one finds its way behind GLE to Welch and Rinaldi. Santillo, Taylor. Rinaldi's got it on the near side. 10 finds Claflin at X. Taylor. Welch in between the hashes. Over to Santillo. Back to Claflin. Taylor. Rinaldi. As he gets it to Welch in between the hashes. That one's going to find its way out of bounds. And possession will stay with the Maroons. Actually, possession will go to the Maroons off the ESM turnovers. Maroons look to clear. Priskel's going to get this one behind GLE as he's got Rinaldi in transition. Priskel's pass. That one's going to find Cicero. And Cicero finds Pinot. That's Smith with it, being defended by Carr, the long pole. Smith over to Crosby. Cicero over to Pinot. Pinot being defended by Corsi. Pinot, whoa! Pinot shot with wicked spin on that one. Gets that one by Luke James and gets the Maroon their second goal of today's action, as it's now 4-2 ESM.
Auburn goal by number 26, Jack Pinot.
This is Josh Glanton at the face-off X for the Spartans for the first time today. 5:17 remaining here in the first half of action. Spartans currently lead 4-2, as Glanton will toss that one into Maroon territory, and that ground ball is picked up by Tedesco and Scott. As we get a whistle and a timeout by the Spartans. So at the 5:07 mark here in the first half of action, Spartans currently lead the Maroons 4-2. We'll be back with you out of the timeout here on Spartan Sports Network. Welcome back out of the break. Spartans currently lead the Maroons 4-2 at 5:07 remaining here in the second quarter. As we'd like to give a huge thank you to our partners, NFHS, and our very own Trappers 2 here in Manoa, New York, as Claflin gets us restarted out of the timeout. That ball finds its way to Welch behind GLE. Over to Santillo. Claflin in the middle of the hashes. Finding its way to Corsi. Santillo. Welch's jumper! He looks like Derek Jeter in that one, and he gets that one to go for his second goal of the day, and it's 5-2 Spartans.
ESM goal by number 17, Logan Welch, with the assist to number 3, Michael Santillo.
As we head back to the face-off X. As Hill will win that face-off win. That was against Joey Lavaroni. And Hill fights his way through some contact and keeps possession with the Maroons. That one's dumped off to Doan near behind GLE. That's Crosby on the far side, 20. Gets it to Pinot. Over to Coleman. That one finds its way behind GLE. That one to Smith. Smith loses momentarily. Smith trying to go high. Can't, but Musso's back there to stay with the Maroons. Musso being defended by the long pole, Godleski. Musso trying to feed that one inside. That was intended for Doan, but it's a Maroons turnover. And the Spartans go the other way with it. Clear by O'Reilly. Finding Rinaldi on the near side. 10. Behind GLE. Over back to O'Reilly on the near side. 30. Finding Claflin in the hashes. Claflin directing traffic. Gets this one to Taylor, who just comes off the line. Over to Santillo on the far side, finding Welch behind GLE and Athleticss, finding Taylor on the near side, 20. Over to Claflin in between the hashes once again. Corsi gets a touch here. Over to Taylor. Taylor, skip pass, Santillo, his shot's good! Santillo finding the left corner up top once again, and Santillo's got his second on the day. It's 6-2 Spartans. Hill Gallery back to the face-off X once again. We're going to go to whistle, and it's a face-off violation on the Maroons once again. This one's going to go to the Spartans, and Scott
Spartan goal by number 3, Michael Santillo.
gets this one to Claflin at the 30.
For Noah Taylor.
So Taylor would get this touch coming off the bench. Same with Santillo. On the far side, 25. Finding Welch. Welch trying to feed it inside to Corsi. Fakes that pass. Claflin back to Taylor. Taylor back to Claflin. Claflin back to Santillo. That pass intended for Claflin's going to be off the stick. And that's going to be an ESM turnover as the Maroons get possession once again as they trail by 4. 6-2 Spartans, 2:28 remaining here in the second quarter of action. That one finds Priskel as we get whistles on the field. So Eddie, being defended by Claflin, will look to clear, and he does. That one finds Crosby. Crosby heads to the near side, 30. Over to Pinot. Pinot over to, actually, Cesaro. That one finds, as the possession finds its way behind GLE to Smith for the Maroons. That one finds Crosby. Crosby being defended by the short pull Taylor. Gets inside. Dumps that one back off to Pinot. Pinot being defended by the long pull. That was Tedesco. Cesaro being defended by Santillo. Cesaro's dodge inside will have to back off, and he'll find his way behind GLE as Musso being defended by Godleski. Inside feed. Crosby shots right of James, actually left of James. And that one finds its way to the goal, out of bounds. Smith being defended by Carr. Smith, his shots right of James. A little too high and wide as that possession will stay with the Maroons. 1:20 remaining here in the second quarter. Spartans still lead by 4 as we're going to get another timeout. And we'll be back with you out of this timeout here on SSN. Welcome back out of the timeout here on SSN. Maroons will have possession on the Spartan side of the field. It's currently 6-2 under with 1:20 remaining here in the second quarter. So Smith will take this one behind GLE off the restart. He'll be defended by Carr, the long pull with Godleski to the to Carr's left. Smith over to Musso. Musso being defended by Godleski. Musso trying to find something. He'll toss that one over to Pinot. Pinot will find Crosby. Crosby going downhill. Crosby shots good. Crosby on the runner. Gets the Maroons back down by 3. And it's now 6-3 ESM.
Auburn goal by number 20, Sam Crosby.
As Joshua Glanton heads back to the face-off X for the Spartans. We're under a minute 2. Glanton pushes that one into Maroon territory. Loose ground ball, recovered by the Maroons. Tedesco trying to chase that one down, gets it to Priskel, and Priskel will try to beat the ESM ride on this one. Priskel tosses that one behind. Finds it open man. Ball loose on the ground, 4:30, and we're going to get another timeout on the field. So at 43-7, Spartans lead the Maroons 6-3, and we'll be back with you with the rest of the second half here on Spartan Sports Network.
Come on, Ray! Oh, come on! Oh, what a bad call!
You have no business being out there.
Terrible!
You know, I'm a person too.
Back out of the timeout here on SSN and at Spartan Stadium. Spartans currently lead the Maroons by 3. But on the last 43 seconds here in the first half of action. This will be Eddie with it at the near side 30 in Maroons territory. Priskel trying to find something. Tries to launch that one over the field. Eddie gets that one, being defended by the long pull Tedesco. 30 seconds remaining here in the half. Eddie gets away from Tedesco. He finds Pinot on the near side. Back over to Crosby. Crosby will find Smith coming on the field for the first time. Smith shots wide. And now we're down to 14-2 remaining here in the second quarter. Coleman over to Musso at X, being defended by Godleski. Musso trying to get around Godleski, cannot. Musso feeds it to Pinot. Pinot's going to wind up. His shot's off, and that one's going to go to the Spartans with .4 on the clock. So after one half of play, the Spartans will lead the Maroons 6-3 going into the break. And we'll be back with you with second half action on the other side on Spartan Sports Network.
How about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
Shh, we're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid's solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorite.
My kid heard that solo!
You saying I did?
Yeah,
Come on! What's wrong with you?
We'll start off with possession, open up the second half of action. Maroons currently trail the Spartans 6-3. Goals scored for the Maroons. It was Sam Crosby, Samuel Coleman, and Jack Pinot. And for the Spartans, it was 3 guys with 2 goals each. Caden Claflin with the first 2, Santillo and Welch with 2 more as well. Smith on the far side of the field, dumps off. That's off of James, literally off of James. Tedesco recovers that one and finds James behind GLE. Godleski's pass is intercepted by Coleman. And the Maroons will set up their offense with Pinot having it at the far side. 20. Over to Smith. Smith over to Crosby. He's being defended by the short pull Taylor. Pinot gets it in between the hashes. He's being defended by Godleski. Pinot shot. Saved by James. Luke James at the doorstep once again denies that entry. As the Spartans clear. Corsi with it on the far side, finding Claflin at the far side, 30. Fakes the shovel to Taylor. Claflin finds Taylor on the far side. Corsi, his touch, his shot. That's right into the stick of Driscoll. And Crosby looks to clear for the Maroons, and he does. He finds Musso, who finds Doan behind GLE. Being defended by Galway, the long pole. Smith, dodge, his shot. Saved once again by James. So Luke James just being a brick wall back there today so far. Gets that one over to Godleski on the near side. Clears. Godleski gets that one to Santillo on the near side. The Spartans get that one gets possession of the far side of the field at around the 30. That's Claflin with it as he moves inside the hashes. Dumps that one over to Santillo and gets that one to Rinaldi at X. Rinaldi over to Taylor. Taylor back to Claflin. Claflin finding Santillo. Rinaldi. Claflin. Claflin! From deep gets that one to go for his 3rd goal of the day, and he's got a hat trick. As it's now 7-3 Maroons. Glanton back to the face-off X. That one's tossed into Spartan territory, but the ground ball will be recovered by the Maroons. That is Eddie with it. Eddie on the far side being trailed by 3 ESM defenders as he runs behind GLE. He's being defended by... He's going to momentarily lose that one, and that ground ball is recovered by Tedesco. James gets it in the crease. And James dumps that one off to Godleski on the far side of the field as he finds Glanton in transition. Glanton back to Godleski. Godleski back, actually gets this one to Claflin. And Claflin rolls that one over to Taylor and Santillo, and Taylor come back out onto the field. 7:50 remaining here in the 3rd. Spartans lead by 4. Claflin with 3 goals and a hat trick today. As Rinaldi gets that one at X. Welch. Santillo. Welch going around. Welch, inside move, dumps it off to Taylor. Taylor off the bouncer. That bounce shot's going to be wide of the net. And Rinaldi gets that one out of the restart. Welch gets the inside feed from Cimentillo. That inside pass intended for Rinaldi's off the stick. As that would have been a good look, as that's going to be a ground ball, as we're going to get whistles blown. And possession's going to go with the Maroons on this one. As the refs will look to clear up the confusion on the field right now. It's going to be Eddie with it at the 20 on the restart. Gets that one to Bonneau past the midfield line. He's being defended by the short stick Taylor. Musso's got it at X, being defended by Godleski as he tosses that one to the far side of the field, as Crisco's got it on the far hash. Pinot, he's got the short stick Santillo on him still. Pinot move inside. Goes that one over to Smith. Pinot once again. Smith being defended by Santillo. Dumps that one over to Musso on the near side. Finds Coleman behind the cage. Coleman's bouncer goes. And Sam Coleman with his second goal today gets the Maroons back down by 3 with 6:02 remaining here in the third quarter.
Auburn goal by number 22, Sam Coleman.
That's Leveroni at the face-off X for the Spartans. He'll go back up against Till. Leveroni moves that one into Maroon territory. Tries to save it from keeping to go out of bounds. He can't. Hill. Off the restart, passes midfield, being defended by Tedesco on the near side field. Pinot at the 25 will dump in the middle of the hashes to Crosby as he comes back onto the field. Over to Cesaro on the near side as possession finds its way behind GLE for the Maroons. That's Doan with it, currently being defended by Carr and Galway momentarily. Back to Musso behind the goal line extended. Musso finds Doan once again. Doan trying to get around his man. Trying to feed that one inside. Ball's loose. Still loose. And Pinot will ultimately recover that one on the far side of the field as he goes behind the cage. Crosby gets it. Middle of the hashes being defended by Scott. Move inside. And Sam Crosby with his shot from deep gets to go. And we're now cut to 2. As it's now a 7-5 Spartans lead.
Auburn goal by number 20, Sam Crosby.
4:38 remaining here in the fourth. Actually started the third quarter. It's now 7-5. Spartans, as their lead's cut down back to for the first time since in the first half. Whistles. And it's another face-off violation by the Maroons. That one's going to go with the Spartans, so Santillo would take it around midfield. As the Spartans get their midfield line on. Welch gets this one on the near side, 10. Back to Santillo. Spartans looking to snap the 2-0 run that the Maroons are currently on. Santillo's got it at the 25. Dumps it off to Claflin. Claflin trying to find Corsi. Corsi! From around the 5-yard line. He gets it to go, and Corsi gets his first goal of the day, and it's now back to a 3-goal lead for the Spartans.
ESM goal by number 13, Nicholas Corsi, with the assist to number 22, Caden Claflin.
Gallery back to the face-off X once again for the Spartans. As that one's going to be won by Hill and the Maroons. And Hill passes the 25-yard line and loses possession. And it's going to be a turnover. And we're going to get a flag there as the Spartans will head up to the man up for the second time today. As we'll head to an injury break here on Spartan Sports Network. Back out of the injury timeout. Claflin has possession as it's 8-5 Spartans as they start the man-up opportunity. 3:50 remaining here in the third quarter as Santillo has it on the near side. Over to Welch. Welch on the far side. Back to Taylor. Santillo. Rinaldi. Taylor. Claflin. Corsi's going to lose that one momentarily, but recovers that ground ball. Taylor on the far side, 20. Welch and Rinaldi have it behind GLE. Santillo across the field for Taylor. Taylor shots wide. Welch, Taylor, Santillo goes up top for his third goal of the day. And it's now 9-5 Spartans.
Spartan goal, his third of the day for number 3, Michael Santillo. With the assist to number 17, Logan Welch.
Joey Love back to the face-off X for the Spartans. Two players with hat tricks for the Spartans, Santillo and Claflin. And that face-off win is going to be won by the Spartans. That ground ball recovered by Santillo. Over to Welch. Welch inside feed! That one goes! It's Rinaldi! And they finally break the passing drought as they finally get a good look inside and get that one to go. That's Rinaldi with his first of the day. And it's a quick 2-goal change for the Spartans as they now lead by 5 with a score of 10-5. Josh Glanton back to this face-off X as Hill wins that one. Whistle's blown as we will have a timeout taken on the field. So we'll be back with you after the timeout here at the 2:53 mark here in the third quarter. Spartans lead the Maroons by 10 here on SSN. Welcome back out of the break. Spartans lead the Maroons 10-5 here in the third quarter of action. As we once again would like to give a huge thank you to our partners, NFHS and Trappers 2 here in Manoa, New York. So Pinot will start this inside the 35-yard line on the near side. We're down to last 2:53 here in the third quarter. Tedesco guarding Pinot. That one's over to Smith. Smith being defended by the long pole. Carr. That one finds his way behind GLE. Over to Musso. Musso being defended by Godleski once again. That one's going to go over to Smith. Smith finds Crosby in between the hashes being defended by Taylor. Crosby finds his way behind the goal line extended. Doan being defended by Galloway. Crosby, his move to the cage, finds Coleman, and Luke James once again denies the entry. As Santillo races his way across midfield. Numbers, Rinaldi trying to find Welch on the cut, cannot get it to go, and it's going to be an ESM turnover. As Corsi knocks that one free and recovers possession for the Spartans. Taylor's got this one back to Santillo. Over to Claflin. Rinaldi. That one's going to knock off a pole. And that one's going to go for Rinaldi's second of the day. It's 11-5 Spartans.
ESM goal by number 8. Gavin Rinaldi.
And it's now a 6-goal lead for the Spartans as Josh Glanton is back to the face-off X at the 52nd.4 mark here in the third quarter. He's going up against Eddie as Hill gets a break. Glanton pushes that one into Maroon territory. And that ground ball is going to be recovered by the Maroons as that one's going to get poked loose by Tedesco. as that one's going to fall into the stick of Tedesco. 32 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Spartans lead by 6. James finds Galloway on the far side of the field. Ball is tipped off of James's pass intended. 16 seconds, that's Musso. Musso trying to get that one. Doan trying to go low, can't. 11 seconds, Corsi's got this one. 5 left. Welch trying to find Claflin. Claflin finds the back of the net late in the third quarter, and it's 12-5 Spartans. Claflin with 4 on the day extends the lead to 12-5. So, after 3 quarters of the play, the Spartans are up 7 on the Maroons. And we'll be back with you with the fourth quarter action here on Spartan Sports Network. Welcome back for fourth quarter action here at Spartan Stadium. Spartans currently lead the Maroons by a score of 7 at 12-5, and Josh Glanton will start at the face-off action for the Spartans as we have the last 12 minutes of action here at Spartan Stadium. Goal scored by the Spartans, 4 for Caden Claflin, 2 for Logan Welch, 1 for Nick Corsi, 2 for Gavin Rinaldi, and 3 for Michael Santillo, as Pinot will control that possession for the Maroons off the face-off. He's being defended by the short pole Taylor. As the Maroons get the midfield line on, that's Crosby in the middle of the field in the Musso has it behind GLE, trying to hit Cicero. That one's poked up in the middle of the air. Coleman goes low again. Sam Coleman with his hat trick today. That's the second goal he's gone low like that with. And the lead is cut back down to 6 for the Maroons. For the Spartans, actually. Deficit back down to 7 for the Maroons. And that's Joey Leveroni at the face-off X for the Spartans once again. Leveroni pushes that ground ball into Spartan territory, and we're going to get a flag. As the Spartans will go man up for the 3rd time today. That flag's going to be on the Maroons. Claflin will start with possession in the middle of the field. Taylor gets it, and Welch get it on the far side. Taylor, sorry, that was Santillo over on the far side. Rinaldi back to Claflin. Claflin inside feed. That one will stay in play. Taylor recovers that ground ball for the Spartans. Skip pass. Goal by Claflin. Claflin's got 5, and a big day for him as the lead goes back up to 7. It's now 13-6 Spartans.
That is goal number 5 for number 22, Caden Claflin. With the assist to number 4, Noah Taylor.
As Leveroni heads back to the face-off X once again, he'll go up against Hill. That one's going to go into Maroon territory. Ground ball is going to be recovered by the Maroons. That one's going to, and the Maroons will clear. Pinot will get that one as he falls, and Leveroni picks up the ground ball, but a whistle will be blown. As the refs will discuss the call on the field. The Maroons will keep possession here. At 10:41 remaining here in the fourth quarter, Smith will take this one from the middle of the hashes. As we wait for the restart in the call, as Coach McCoy will get an explanation from the referees. It's going to be the first man-up opportunity for the Maroons today. So Smith off the restart will start this one in between the 35 and 40 in the middle of the hashes. Dumps that one off to Crosby on the far side. Back to Smith. Smith back to Crosby. Crosby, as Galloway loses stick momentarily. That'll be Musso. Crosby, Smith, Pinot. Pinot finds Doan. Actually, sorry, this is Coleman. Pinot, Smith, Crosby shots wide. And Doan's back there to keep possession with the Maroons. So 10-11 remaining here in the fourth quarter. The Maroons trail by 7. Coleman back to Pinot. Smith. Crosby back to Smith again. Pinot, his shot. That's going to be off the stick of an ESM player. And the Maroons will keep this one inbounds and keep possession here. 9:52 remaining here in the fourth. Crosby looking for something. Actually, sorry, that would be Musso looking for something. Dumps it off to Crosby. As Smith gets this one on the near side. Finds Coleman. Coleman dumps it off. Trying to hit Pinot. He can't. Santillo causes a turnover. And Santillo goes the other way. Santillo finds Welch. Welch finds the back of the net. And it's now 14-6 Spartans with 9:26 remaining here in the fourth quarter as Logan Welch becomes the third player on ESM today with a hat trick.
third of the day for number 17, Logan Welch. With the assist to number 3, Michael Santillo.
Josh Glanton back to the face-off X. That one gets poked into Maroon territory with Tedesco kicking the ball his way and recovering the ground ball. And this one will stay in Maroon territory for the Spartans. He finds Welch, and Welch will settle things down and get the offense, Spartan offense going. He'll roll this one to Taylor coming back off the bench. Claflin gets this one in between the hashes. 8:55 remaining here in the fourth. He dumps that one over to Caden Scott on the far side. Over to Taylor. Taylor over to Rinaldi. As the Spartans will play around the world as Scott gets that one on the far side. Inside feed for Taylor. Taylor trying to find Welch. Welch trying to go for Sports Center top 10 off that pass. But his shot just a little too high and over the cage for that one. As possession will go to the Maroons here as Rinaldi could not get back in time to keep possession. Driscoll looking to get rid of this one. That one's tipped by Rinaldi, but Eddie will get it off the deflection and keep possession with the Maroons. As Peterson has it. Cesro has it now. As the Maroons will get their personnel out on the field. That one's over to Pinot. Pinot finding Smith. Smith. His shot will find the back of the net. And Smith cuts the lead back down to 7 for the Maroons. As that's the deficit they still face at 7:53 remaining here in the fourth.
Auburn goal by number 21, Matthew Smith.
So Josh Glanton getting some pretty decent run time today at the face-off X. He's been going up against Hill most of the day today. As Hill picks up that ground ball, and that is a face-off win once again for the Maroons. As Coleman has that one behind the cage. Pick set by Doan. Galway's now on Coleman for the moment. As Crosby and Pinot trade passes. That one finds its way at X. That's Doan, his dodge inside move. Coleman off the stick of James. Luke James once again denying entry for the Maroons. As the lead is still 7. Pinot finds Doan. Doan being defended by Galloway. And we're going to get a flag, so the Maroons will go up on the man up on the next dead ball. Musso finds Doan at X. Doan going around the crease. This is Crosby. Crosby with the fake inside feed. Coleman goes through the legs of James, and he's got 4 goals on the day as it's now 14-8 Spartans, and the Maroons will now go up on a man-up opportunity once again. Huge momentum swing right there for the Maroons. Could be a much-needed one.
Auburn goal by number 22, Sam Coleman, with the assist to number 20, Sam Crosby.
Glanton back to the face-off X. 6:31 remaining here in the fourth. Spartans now lead by 6. And we're going to get a face-off violation on Glanton. So Hill Off the restart. Dumps it off to Pinot on the far side. Finds Smith. Finds Crosby. Crosby finds Musso. Back to Crosby. Over to Smith. Smith back to Crosby as they play a little bit of hot potato. Musso looking for a feed. Gives it back to Crosby. Pinot's going to wind up, and his shot's wide off the mark. And Musso's back there to keep possession with the Maroons. 14-8 with 6:03 remaining here in the fourth. Coleman finds the top shelf. Coleman with 5 goals as he's got the Maroons back within 5. As Joey Leveroni will head back to the face-off X for the Spartans, giving Glanton a break as the lead's now cut to 5 for ESM. Hill wins another face-off as Santillo tries to poke that one free, but this one will stay with Auburn off the quick shot. Coleman finds his way to Crosby. Crosby over to the Smith, being defended by Leveroni. Smith has some space, tries to go high. His shot's going to be off the mark and out of bounds. Coleman, he dumps that one off the Donut X. He's being defended by the long pole Galway. Trying to make a move inside. His shot won't be able to go. And possession will go with the Spartans as James gets back there to turn the tides. That's Godleski on the far side of the field, looking to clear. Dumps it off to James in the middle of the hashes. And James will clear this one himself by midfield. James passes high and off the stick of Corsi. So it's an ESM turnover at 4:59. Driscoll's got this one. Driscoll tosses it, picked off by Tedesco, and it's a Maroons turnover as Tedesco finds Welch, and Welch will settle the offense down and take some time off the clock. Santillo on the far hash. Gives it off to Corsi. Corsi finding Welch. Claflin behind the cage at X. Rinaldi on the near side now. Taylor. Santillo. Corsi. Welch. Welch fakes the pass to Corsi as he'll find Claflin behind GLE. Over to Rinaldi. Finds Taylor. Taylor finds Santillo. Santillo finds Welch. Welch finds Taylor, and Taylor goes low for his first goal of the day. Noah Taylor puts the Spartans back up by 4. Actually, sorry, puts the Spartans back up by 6.
Noah Taylor.
And Taylor's first goal of the day.
Logan Welch.
Puts Josh Glanton back at the face-off X against Hill. 3:40 remaining here in the fourth. Glanton gets a face-off win in a push as we got a loose ground ball. Claflin keeps possession. And we get whistles blown and a timeout called on the field. And a flag. So we'll get that all figured out after the break. We'll be back with you with the last 3:23 here on Spartan Sports Network. Welcome back out of the break. Spartans currently lead the Maroons 15-7. As we'd like to give one last thanks to our partners, NFHS, and our very own Trappers 2 here in Manoa, New York. So, it was a penalty on the Spartans, so the Maroons go man up. As Smith gets it middle of the field, finds Pinot on the near side. Smith, Crosby. Crosby will find Musso on the far side. Pinot finds Coleman. Coleman being defended by the long stick, and we get a whistle. And it's an Auburn turnover, so the Spartans get a lucky break off the man up. And we're under 3 minutes to play here in the fourth. As the Spartans look to clear. That's Santillo with it currently, being defended by Doan, Musso, and now Coleman. Rinaldi, far side behind GLE, gives it back to Santillo. Rinaldi, Welch. Welch being defended by the long pole. Taylor over to Corsi, now in between the hashes. Corsi to Rinaldi. He's being defended by the long pole. Durant, as Rinaldi falls to the ground momentarily, hits the deck. Now being defended by two long poles. Inside feed intended for Taylor, but Welch recovers that errant pass. Minute 53 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Santillo will find his way behind GLE for this one. As he's being defended by the long pole, Durant once again. Pick from Claflin. Finds Rinaldi. Behind the cage, he's being defended by Ovens. Rinaldi's dish to Corsi. Corsi finds his way near X behind the cage. Pick from Claflin. Dumps it off to Welch. Welch on the skip pass. As that one finds the back of the net for Michael Santillo once again with his fourth goal of the day, as we're now under 1 minute to play, and the lead is now 16-9 ESM.
ESM assemble his fourth of the day for number 3, Michael Santillo. With the assist to number 17, Logan Welch.
Glanton back to the face-off X. Hill will get another win as Hill moves in transition. Dump off pass to Musso, inside feed. Doan finds the back of the net. So it's quick transition work for the Maroons as they get their 10th goal of the day and now trail by 6 with 48 seconds remaining. And we're going to get a face-off violation on the Maroons. Leveroni was at the face-off X that time as the Spartans with 46 seconds left. We'll look to improve to 2-4 on the year with a much-needed win. As Rinaldi finds Taylor in the middle of the field. It was Claflin leading the way with 5 goals and Santillo behind with 4 as it gives a much-needed win for the Spartans. So for producer Todd, during Teeny and our fabulous crew here at Spartan Sports Network, your final here from Spartan Stadium. Spartans 16, Maroons 10. Once again, saying so long from Spartan Stadium here on Spartan Sports Network. I am Tanner Chase saying so long, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the day.